like, girl, you having a baby today. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I'm having a baby today at 36 weeks. So hi, say my name is Micah. Okay, so I have literally already recorded this video before, but I lost my phone and I uploaded it to my iMovie and now it's gone. So I'm gonna just re-record, no problem. Anyway, as you can tell by the title, this is going to be my pregnancy, labor, delivery story. I see a lot of I know personally, before I delivered, I watched so many YouTube videos about delivery and pregnancy and just everything. And I think that a lot of the stuff helped. So I'm going to record mine. This will probably be my first YouTube video. My birthday's tomorrow. So I said that I wanted to have a video up by my birthday. So I had a pretty peaceful pregnancy for the most part. My pregnancy was hell though, physically. I was so sick. I literally was sick from the time I found out I was pregnant at, I think I found out in 8 weeks. From the time I found out I was pregnant up until the day I delivered. And actually the week after, I still had pregnancy symptoms. So that part of it was just a lot. I was so sick. I threw up every day, multiple times a day. I couldn't keep nothing down. I was nauseous from the time the day started to the time the day ended. I had terrible heartburns, terrible indigestions. I had these loud, nasty burps. The pregnancy, the physical side was just a lot, like a lot. But other than that, my pregnancy was pretty peaceful. I'm from Atlanta. I was born in Colorado, but I was raised in Atlanta from start to finish. So when I got pregnant in Atlanta, when I found out I was pregnant, it was in Atlanta. And I actually moved, I guess, home to where I was born. Moved in with my mom just because Atlanta was just not it. And I knew that my pregnancy would have been drama filled and long for no reason if I stayed in Atlanta. So I was like, I waited till my lease was up and peace. My mom came. She helped me move out. We packed my car up, girl, and we moved. She moved me. So that was my pregnancy. Not much to talk about during my pregnancy. So at 36 weeks, so up until 36 weeks, I have been having my prenatal appointments at a birthing center. And if you don't know, a birthing center is basically where you give birth. It's like a homey setting with a midwife, and it's non-medicated, natural birth. You give birth in a tub or on the bed. Like, they have like real life beds and the centers. So that's where I was up until 36 weeks. And it was like one day where I was on the way to one of my birthing classes and I had like a really bad headache, and I had took Tylenol. It was like an ongoing headache. It would not go away. And if you're pregnant or if you plan on getting pregnant, they constantly remind you, if you have a headache, blurred vision, right abdominal pain, like, go to the doctor, go to the hospital, because it could mean that you have preeclampsia. So I called my midwife and I told her, you know, my symptoms or whatever. And I was actually in King Soopers, and you know how grocery stores have the little blood pressure cuffs. So I took my blood pressure and it was actually high. So she told me to come in early before my birthing class. And y'all have to excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, but I was determined to record this video. So if you hear me sniff, sorry. So I went in, and when she checked me, it was even higher than it was before. And so she was basically like, girl, you finna have a baby. I'm finna send you across the street to the hospital, and you gonna have a baby today. And I was like shook. First of all, I was only 36 weeks, which is not that bad to have a baby. You gonna throw a fit on camera? You showing out. 36 weeks is not the worst time to have a baby. Like, you could, earlier than that is, but you want to carry to full term. So I was like really nervous because, most people who have eclampsia, preeclampsia, toxemia, all of that is the same thing. They have to have a C-section. And I did not want to have a C-section. Like, I wanted to birth my baby vaginally. I wanted to have that experience. Even if I ended up getting the epidural, I still wanted her to come out like normal. So I was just so nervous. And I remember my mom just wheeling me in there, and I was sick to my stomach. Like, I did not want to have a baby. So I didn't end up having her. They were able to get me out, was put on blood pressure medicine. They was able to get everything under control, and I was discharged. But because all that happened, I got kicked out of the birthing center. And so I would have had to have delivered at a hospital because now I'm deemed high risk. And so I was diagnosed with gestational hypertension. So my midwives, luckily they didn't just kick me out. They helped me find luckily my midwives didn't kick me out and just girl bye. They helped me find another midwife who delivered at a hospital. So I went and I had my appointment with her, and she was like, "Oh, bless you, mama." She said that they was going to induce me at 38 weeks. An induction is something else that I didn't want, because when you have an induced pregnancy, you're just, you're higher risk to have a C-section. And like I said, I did not want to have a C-section. So yeah, I didn't want to be induced because I didn't want to have a C-section. So I ended up, just getting over that. I'm going to have to be induced, whatever. If that's what they're saying is best, then I need to go get induced. So up until my induction day, I was literally trying everything to make myself go in labor. I tried primrose oil. I tried black cohosh tea. I wasn't going to do the castor oil. I didn't do that. What did I try? I would try the yoga ball, walking. I was like, anything that would let me go into labor by myself, I would want to do. And it didn't work. So I went to get induced on November 14th at 8 p.m. I checked in. They got me in my room. They got me all together. And so the first step of the induction process was a medicine called Cytosome, or is that what it's called? I believe so, Cytosome. If it's not it, I'll put up what it's called on the screen. But basically, it's a medicine used to soften your cervix. And I know they can insert it vaginally, or I don't know the other way, but the kind that they gave me was dissolvable in my cheek. So you had to hold the medicine in your cheek and let it dissolve. And so you can get up to a certain amount of doses on that. And the doctor was like, this should help. This should start your pregnancy. I've seen moms that go into labor on the first try or whatever. Girl, I had all these notes in my phone. But I want to say I have 4 doses of that medicine and nothing happened. I had mild contractions, but they were like cramps. They were literally nothing. I couldn't feel anything. So that didn't work. So this was Wednesday. So Thursday, are you going to drink or not? You tripping, girl. You tripping. Thursday came, and they woke me up, and they were like, okay, we're going to get you started with the Foley ball. So they put the Foley ball in at noon, and it came out at 4. It was only in for 4 hours. And so basically the Foley ball is a catheter that they fill up with water, and it sits on your uterus, and it's supposed to get you to 3 or 4 centimeters. So that made me have contractions, and those were on a scale of 1 to 10, they were probably a 4 or 5. They weren't that bad, but I could definitely feel them coming. They were consistent. But as soon as the Foley ball fell out, I was only 1.5 centimeters, and the contraction stopped. So that didn't do anything for me. And so they let me eat. I think I took a shower, whatever, and they were like, we're going to start you on the Pitocin. Another thing that I was scared of. Pitocin is the synthetic version of oxytocin, which starts your labor. It's what you need to go into labor. But it's like the Pitocin makes the contractions times 10. So I was like, I did not want to do this again. So they started that, and I kept reading, like, you only need a low dose of Pitocin for the contractions to get started. So every time the nurse came, like, she was bumping it. She kept making that Pitocin go up. I kid you not, she was in there every 20 to 30 minutes. Like, she was bumping the Pitocin. I'm like, girl, can you calm down? Like, I was so scared. I feel like I was holding my breath the whole time because I didn't want to experience them painful contractions. All throughout the night, she kept bumping the Pitocin up, and on the monitor, I was having strong contractions, but I wasn't feeling nothing. Like, I felt more contractions with the Foley ball than I did with the Pitocin. I wasn't feeling nothing. Y'all, she's so sleepy. You do know this is a wig, and it will come off. She's so sleepy, but so yes, she bumped the Pitocin, ended up going up to the maximum strength, and girl, I was not budging. I hadn't moved, my cervix hadn't softened, I hadn't dilated, and that Pitocin did absolutely nothing for me. So this was all day Thursday. Or Thursday night with the Pitocin. So Friday comes, we change midwives, and she's like, we've done the Cytotec, we've done the Pitocin. She was like, there's nothing, we done the Foley ball, there's nothing else to do but to break your water, and we'll see how that goes. And when they break your water, you only have a certain amount of time where you can just be willy-nilly with no water because you are at risk for an infection now. So again, I'm like, I'm nervous because again, I have this C-section, and I don't want anyone that watches this that's had a C-section, I don't want you to feel bad about your experience, because all births are, we have to birth our children how we have to birth them. But I personally wanted to feel my child come out the vaginal canal. Like, if I ended up with a C-section, then so be it, but I wanted to do everything in my power to do what, God created for me. So they break my water at 9:40 in the morning on Friday morning. And once they broke it, like, it took no time for the contractions to start. First of all, when they broke my water, I don't know what I thought. Like, I knew it was a lot of water, but I kept asking the nurse, I'm like, are you sure I'm supposed to still be, leaking, girl? Because this is a lot. Like, this is a lot. And I was asking my best friend, she was there. She's also had a baby. And I'm like, did you leak this much? Because it's still coming out. And the nurse kept saying, it's normal, it'll stop eventually. And I'm like, okay. So, honey, when them contractions finally got to their highest peak, I was like, they were so painful. First of all, whoever tells you that contractions feel like period cramps, they're lying. They don't feel like period cramps at all. Nothing near period cramps. And I have very, very bad period cramps. I have a very heavy cycle. And I know they're painful. They make you want to crawl up into a ball. Child, them damn labor contractions did not feel like that. They felt like somebody was ripping you apart from the left side to the right. Okay? That was painful. So if you're watching this, I don't mean to scare you, but I don't want you to have low expectations, because they hurt. They hurt. And it was like an unbearable pain. they were very manageable if you focus, you know, and the breathing techniques really helped. Everything that I learned from my first 2 birthing classes definitely were helpful. And that's like, you know, breathing, don't clench up, you know, just relax once the contractions come on. And the midwife that I had, oh Lord bless her heart, she was literally did not leave my side. And I wanted to ask her so bad, you know, like, do you have other patients? She walked up and down the hallways with me. She put the pressure points on my back. She was phenomenal. Like, she really helped. So I was having consistent contractions. I don't remember how close apart they were, but I know they were, they had gotten to like 3 minutes apart. And so they broke my water at 9, and then around about probably like 6 or 7. I don't exactly remember what time. And I keep meaning to go back and look at my chart to see when everything went south. But I would say it was probably around 6 or 7 o'clock, maybe even 8. And I feel like it was honestly later than that, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly when. But my midwife I had labored in the tub for a few hours. And then I was tired of that. I was like, I need something new. So she got me out of the tub and I was back in the bed. And I had asked her to, this stage right here is something serious. It's like they're learning that they can move, and she won't be still. Here, Mama. You don't want your keys? Yeah. So, basically, she got me out of the tub and got me into the bed, and I was like, the pain was in my back, like my lower back butt level. And I'm like, I can make it through this if I just have something to relieve that pressure. And she was like, you know, do you want the medicine? I don't know what exactly it's called, but it's like a pain medicine that they administer in your IV. And it's supposed to take the edge off or whatever. So I was like, sure. So she checked my vitals and checked my blood pressure. And apparently it was like through the roof. And all I remember, because she had gave me the medicine, and I could still feel everything. I could still feel all the contractions, but it made me out in the mind. Like, I feel like I had smoked or something. Like, it made me really loopy. And so I remember her doing all of this stuff, but I was so out of it, I couldn't like do anything about it. So I remember her she kept putting that blood pressure cuff on me. She kept checking it. And I remember her saying, you know, your blood pressure is not supposed to be this high. She was like, you know, it can spike from pain, but she was like, it's not supposed to be this high. So she drew up so many labs, sent the labs or whatever. And only thing I remember is her saying that she's going to have to transfer me over to the OBs. And mind you, all my support system was out of the room. They had went to get food. So it was just me and the midwife. And she was like, and maybe a few nurses. She was like, we can't get your blood pressure to go down. And this had been going, she had been trying to get it down for a while. And I could tell she was kind of getting nervous. And so she was like, okay, we're going to send your blood off or whatever. So they did whatever they do. And it turns out in the middle of my labor, I was 5, almost 6 centimeters dilated. I was in active labor. My contractions were consistent. In the middle of this, I was doing great. She was like, you have preeclampsia. It was like chronic preeclampsia. And I'm like still out of it in my head. At this point, I'm crying because nobody was in the room with me. I was waiting for them to come back. And I couldn't do anything about it. Like, she had given me this medicine, so I'm like there but not there. And it was really hard. And so she had transferred me to the OBs, and by the time my mom and them had came back in, it was like stupid doctors in the room. It was a teaching hospital, so there were like students in the room, and they were transferring me over. She was trying to put a catheter in me. She put this monitor on my baby's head, which we'll talk about in another video. But if you see her head, you can see the scars from the monitor. But she was putting the catheter and the monitor on her head in wrong. Mind you, all of this goes down there. In order to put a monitor on your head, she has to go in your vagina. The catheter is only supposed to be clipped, you know, right there. But I was in so much pain. It hurt so bad. I was literally bawling tears. And the midwife was still in there. She never left while all of this was going on. And she was telling the OBs, like, you know, she's not supposed to be in pain with the catheter. You know, this is not normal. And so my OB and the midwife ended up getting into an argument about them putting the catheter on me and putting the monitor on the baby's head, because although they had put the monitor on Micah's head, she wasn't coming up on the screen. And later on, when I looked at my charts, apparently Michael's heart rate was dipping, and she had pooped. And you know, both of those are things that are not supposed to happen, but I didn't even know that until recently. And she's 5 months. And this was only because I randomly looked at my hospital papers once. She's so sleepy. Why you won't go to sleep, Mama? So they were arguing about my catheter, whether or not it was in right or if it was in wrong, and what to do, you know, how to go from here. So they had got into an argument about that. And so the OB ended up leaving the room, and my midwife had went and checked, and she was like, I told her, like, the catheter was in wrong, the monitor on the baby head was in wrong, so she had to redo all of that for me. And she was like, by this time, I think my mom and them had just walked into the room, and she was talking to me, and she was just saying, she was like rubbing me, and she said, I'm going to talk to you like I would talk to my daughter. She says, I want you to have this baby vaginally. I want you to stick to your birth plan. And she was saying that, but once I leave, she said, they're not going to show you the same attention that I was showing you. And she said, you're in a lot of pain. Your blood pressure is high. You know, you're high risk right now. So she said, if I was you, I would get the epidural, because the epidural is going to take the pain away, which will help bring your blood pressure down. And, you know, she said that it would make the process go, I don't know what was her explanation, but she was saying basically that she would get the epidural so that I could have the vaginal birth. So I was like, bet, let me get the epidural. You know, I want to do whatever I need to do to have a vaginal birth. If I have a C-section, I'm not going to feel it. I'm not going to be present anyway. So let me get the epidural. And I had coached my mom. I spent 9 months, almost 9 months, because I gave birth at 38 weeks. Coaching my mom, if they say anything about an epidural, this is when you come in and you be my advocate and say, no, that's not what she wants. So she was ready, and she heard epidural, and she was like, no. And I was like, it's okay, girl. It's okay, girl. We got this. I said, I know what I coached you through, but I was like, this is what we got to do. And I was like, Mom, it's fine, you know. And so she was like, okay. And so they made everybody clear the room. I didn't have to wait long at all to get the epidural. Maybe 20, 30 minutes. I didn't have to wait that long. So they come in and they give me the epidural. And like I said, it's a teaching hospital. So I had a student administering the epidural. I'm all about, they got to learn one day. But I'm just like, you want a student to do this? And so I got the epidural, and after that, I don't remember much. I wasn't out of it, but I just know that I kept waking up and going to sleep, and the nurses would come in and switch positions, and they would put the little peanut ball in between my legs, you know, to help me dilate since I wasn't up moving. And they just kept, you know, switching me. And so at about she was born at 1:54. So maybe like 12:30, they had came to check me, and I was 9.5 centimeters dilated. And she was like, okay, I'll be back in an hour. You should be ready to push. So I was like, cool. So maybe an hour had went by, maybe 45 minutes. And I was like, I woke up and I kind of turned on my back and I was like, I'm ready. I have to push. And like my mom and my best friend, they kind of was like, are you sure? Because of course you have the epidural. People feel like you don't feel a lot. So my mom went out and she told the nurses she's ready to push. She feels like she has to push. And so they were like, they said, okay. So they went and told the OBs, and she was in a different birth, helping somebody else give birth. So my mom came back and it was like, she said she'll be here soon. She'll be here soon. And I was like, okay. So 20 more minutes went by, and I have this strong urge, like, if I don't push right now, she's going to come out by herself. So I ended up propping myself up, pulling my legs back, and I start to push by myself because I'm telling y'all I have to push. By the time the doctor got in there, I pushed maybe 3 or 4 times and she was out. Like, I'm telling you I have to push. Why are you not allowing me to push? You could have sent a nurse in there until you came. Like, I don't know if she didn't believe me or what. But had she not came when she did, I would have pushed Micah out by myself because I had to push. And so at 1:54 on November 17th, my baby girl was born. She was 7 pounds, 7 ounces, and 21 inches long. She wants y'all to see her feet. She was 7 pounds, 7 ounces, and always will be the highlight of my life. She came out. She was not crying. Of course, she was getting oxygen because she was still attached to the epidural or the umbilical cord, and I wanted her to stay attached until the umbilical cord stopped pulsating. I wanted her to get all that good nutrients, all those good cells, but they were like, oh, she's not breathing. And obviously she really wasn't breathing, because now I look back on the videos and it took a lot for them to get her to breathe. Yep, that was my labor and delivery story. It was crazy. It was a crazy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning. It was a long delivery.